Hi, let's play another game with Grixis Delver with the new MH3 cards with Juju Beans list, where we have 2 Harbinger of the Seas in the sideboard and 4 Psychic Frog in the main board as a replacement for the Orcish Bowmaster. So we play against lands, which is traditionally a very hard matchup for me and one of the reasons why I often don't bring Delver to a tournament, especially if I know there are many lands and depths players. But I think this is much better now. First we have the... let's pause here. First we have the Harbinger in the sideboard, which is really good, like a Blood Moon, but instead of Blood Moon making all our lands or Magus of the Moon making all our lands mountains, there are islands, which I think is really useful, so we can still ponder and brainstorm and hardcast our forces maybe and play Murktide and so on. And also the Frog is much better than the Bowmaster in this matchup. So okay, we are on the draw. Opponent mulligans 2/6 and starts with Yavimaya, Cradle of Growth, and we kept the hand with Ponder, Fon, Brainstorm, Days and 3 lands. Very good hand. And we Force of Will the Exploration. I think this is really important against the lands matchups, because if they get Life from the Loam going and then they can play so many lands per turn, you have no chance to keep up. So we force it here and we go into our turn and we just play a land and pass. And because we don't want to get wastelanded, we want to get the Psychic Frog going, we play a fetch land and pass. And we can either fetch a Volcanic Island next turn, and then we are safe from wasteland, but we could also fetch the... we can fetch the Volcanic Island, and then we have something in case of Ghost Quarter or Basic Island and be safe from wasteland. And because there are, I think, 4 wastelands and only 1 Ghost Quarter, normally I prefer to fetch the basic island here, but maybe you would have done it differently. Okay, opponent plays Mox Diamond, discards Dark Depths and plays an Urza Saga, and Urza Saga is a big problem for us, so hopefully we find a wasteland soon so we can handle the tokens. And the opponent also plays a Life from the Loam, so a lot of problem cards. So the lands player has a quite good start. Exploration, which we have to force, and unfortunately now we don't have the Force of Negation anyways. We have 1 Force of Negation in the main board, and the Exile clause is really important, but I think we still have to force the exploration, and at least opponent only gets 1 land. So yeah, we have to be careful now what we do, or we have to win quickly, because in the long game this will spiral out of control. The opponent can dredge the Life from the Loam and get lands back and create sagas. So we have to finish the game quickly, and we draw at least the Force of Will, but it would have been much better. I would rather have like to Force of Will the exploration and then Force of Negation Life of the Loam, but of course we cannot we cannot choose in which order we draw the stuff. So we draw the Psychic Frog, and we hope the opponent doesn't have a Maze of It, because Maze of It will stop the combat damage, and Psychic Frog draws a card when you do combat damage. And we can also like adjust our clock dynamically by discarding cards, which is quite nice. Opponent can now create 1 Urza Saga construct, and I guess that's also what he did. No, instead a Sphere of Resistance. And I'm not really sure about this play, because I found if I have enough lands with Delver, I can still somehow survive a Sphere of Resistance, but the opponent now loses 1 construct token, and this is for the race. It looks like a race situation, maybe not best way, but I'm not a lands player, so maybe you have a different opinion. Anyways, this is like we are squeezed on mana now. We have to pay for the Tabernacle of Pendrell Vale, And of course we pay and we use the island because it's less flexible. And now we could ponder, but the problem is then we cannot force. And the question is, do we have something to force? Let's first attack, then we can see with more information. And we draw a Delver, and we should add more tempo to the board, so we should play Delver. I say now, but okay, it's not long ago, but I already forgot this turn. So I think in hindsight I would have played a Delver just to get a faster clock going. But in this game I opted to do it differently. I mean, sure, you can discard the Delver and also get 1 damage per turn, but if the Delver flips, of course it does more. So, but here I elected instead to keep the force open, and the opponent creates 1 construct, okay, and we can at least brainstorm now. It's not a great brainstorm because we will draw some of the cards back, but it's not that much of an issue with Psychic Frog because we can at least discard stuff. So the Wasteland we will draw again, and the Bubble comes on the bottom because Bubble against Sphere of Resistance is not that useful. Okay, we draw the Wasteland and we play it out, and I think I waste the Javimaya because the Javimaya makes 2 mana because the Tabernacle also is a forest now, and if the opponent has a Sphere of Resistance in play and only the 2 Mox Diamonds, then they cannot cast Life from the Loam without another land, or they have to even sacrifice the Construct token and play a land. So I think that's here the best play to Wasteland Javimaya, because for a land deck with so many lands it's sometimes hard to get forests into play for them. I mean, the mana colors is not an issue due to Mox Diamond, but still. Okay, we attack here, and we don't have Delirium right now for Unholy Heat. We could discard Ponder and Unholy Heat for the Frog. No, sorry, Ponder and Delver, and then cast Unholy Heat, but then we lose 3 cards and draw 1 Bobble, so I'm not sure which order it's better. So I just attack without doing anything because I think the opponent won't block, but they will block, and I will just discard the Delver and the Unholy Heat because now the Saga is not there, and now we have a 4 creature which kills the opponent in 5 turns. So we have to just survive for 5 more turns, or we can discard an additional card and make it a 5-drop, and then we just have to attack 4 times, which is relevant, I guess. So opponent now has no creature anymore. So let's see what happens now. Okay, opponent does nothing. Okay, interesting. Cannot cast Life from the Loam. And yeah, we have the Frog as a 4/5 now. Pay for the Tabernacle. But I don't want to discard now, even though it shortens the clock. But okay, we have the Mishra's Bauble. We could actually either play the Mishra's Bauble, or we could discard it, or we could keep it for later. All viable options. That's so interesting with the Delver deck. We can do so many things. So let's first attack and see what happens. And the opponent casts Crop Rotation, which we can daze, which is really cool. And here I make a misplay. I should return the island, but I forget that I'm still in the attack phase. So I float the mana and save the Underground Sea, which is normally a good play to save your duels, but in this case it was wrong. But it was still really, really fortunate that I could daze the Crop Rotation. And now we play out the land again. And I could actually play out the bauble for 1 mana and still have 1 left for the Force of Will. So in hindsight, I think this would have been a better play. So it's always interesting if you review your replays. Because if we play the bauble, we would get one card deeper. So either we play it or we discard it. But I think just keeping the bauble in hand doesn't really make sense. Okay, opponent plays Lush Portico, and this means next turn it's possible to play Life from the Loam, and we should really discard the Mishra's Bauble now to get the frog to 5 to kill the opponent in 3 hits. So hopefully I do it. I also find the Wasteland and kill the Lush Portico. It's a bit unfortunate if the opponent will top deck one of the Maze of its, but lands doesn't play cantrips, only a few search effects. So I finally play the bauble now, and yeah, this is also possible, play the bauble or discard, but I think now in hindsight discarding would be better. And we play another bauble and Wasteland the Lush Portico, and now the opponent needs to top deck a land which is not coming into play tapped, and the opponent just scoops. Okay, now we go to sideboarding, and there's always this debate, okay, versus lands, what do you board out? Do you board out the daisies or maybe the lightning bolts? And people I speak with, they say it's better to board out the daisies, most of them, because it doesn't do much, especially on the draw. So I did this. I sideboarded out the 4 daisies and the 2 unholy heats, and I think 1 bolt, yes. And so I still have 2 bolts left just for damage, because against lands you often don't have so many slots. So if you have more sideboard cards to bring in, you could also take out more bolts, but there's often a situation where the lands player stabilizes on a low life total, and then it's useful to top deck a bolt. So what we want, of course, in every case, is we also boarded out the Pyroblast, of course, the main board Pyroblast. So we want the Harbinger of the Seas, or Harbinger, I don't know how you pronounce this, because this is stopping the whole deck of the opponent. The only danger is if the opponent plays a Dark Depths after we have Harbinger of the Seas and then gets rid of it, but I think this is quite hard to do in a land stack, so we should mostly be safe from that. Unfortunately, we don't have a Brazen Borer as an out to Marit Large, but at least we have a few ways to prevent it, like we have Wasteland, and we also have 1 Submerge, which is really cool. Some lands players, they will just get rid of their forests, but most of the time it's really cool to have this. We didn't see any Elvish Reclaimers, by the way, else we could have kept in the removal, more of that. And Gravedigger's Cage, I thought about, it stops life from, no, I think it doesn't even, because you don't cast it from the library. So even then I wouldn't have played it just for 1 card. But we have the Meltdown, the Force of Negation for exiling Life from the Loam. We have Meltdown to destroy the constructs and the Mox Diamonds and all the other stuff. It's like a Night Nonbo with Pithing Needle, but I still boarded it in, because you can name Thespian Stage or Urza Saga, and especially Urza Saga is really dangerous because it creates so many tokens. Yeah, so I think 2, 4, 6, 7, 8 cards I boarded in, and should be 8 out, right? 4 days, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. Okay, so we are on the draw again. Opponent chooses to play first, of course, begins the game with 7 cards. And here I have a bit of a bad keep, I guess. Yeah, that's my problem, that I keep too many hands, but I think at least I cannot get wastelanded out of the game because I have so many lands. I have the Pithing Needle against Urza's Saga, and also if I draw a blue card I can force something, but maybe I should have mulliganed, I'm not sure, because I cannot do anything turn 1 if the opponent plays like Exploration, has a really busted start with Exploration and Mox Diamond and Life from the Loam and so on. But opponent fortunately casts the Sphere of Resistance, and this doesn't really annoy me that much. So again, I wasteland the Javimaya because it makes all the utility lands make mana. Okay, opponent has another forest and plays basic forest even, and plays Lava Spur Boots. Okay, so this is also something I could name with Pithing Needle. However, then it makes more sense to name Urza's Saga because I think the only creatures in the deck are the tokens from Urza's Saga and the Marit Lage token. So here I play my land and just pass, and I'm quite lucky that the opponent doesn't have so much going on. Now there's the Urza's Saga, and now I know what to name with the Pithing Needle. Of course, I just fetch again for the basic island. Again, bad against Ghost Quarter, but good against Wasteland. And I can really stop the opponent here, because normally Delver doesn't play Pithing Needle in the sideboard, but this Juju Beans list had it in, and I think it's really cool, because this game would be over now. If the opponent could just make constructs and equip them, I would be dead in 2 or 3 turns. But at least here I draw the Psychic Frog and I can play the Bauble, and maybe there's also a case for siding out Mishra's Baubles, because under the spheres they are not that useful, but on the other hand I think some lands players also side out a Sphere of Resistance, and it's really hard to get against lands to Delirium because they don't kill your creatures that often. So I think the Bauble is still good. Opponent plays a Soul Guide Lantern, exiles the Wasteland. I think this is incorrect. I think it would be better to exile the Mishra's Bauble because of later Delirium. Of course, opponent can exile my whole graveyard at any time. But yeah, now is the case where I could have played a Murktide Regent. So this is something to keep in mind for the opponent, because now I have 4 cards in the graveyard, so maybe this would have been a good point for that. So I play Psychic Frog, and I have Force of Negation and Force of Will, but unfortunately I cannot play them because of the Sphere of Resistance, but I don't want to wait a turn just to activate this, so I just have to hope that nothing bad happens, and the opponent gets a Maze of It with Expedition map with Urza's Saga and tutors a Maze of It. So this will prevent the Psychic Frog from doing damage, but I can still play the Delver of Secrets, so I have another additional threat. And so the opponent also has to think what they prioritize once the Delver flips. What's more important, taking 3 damage or giving the opponent 1 card, and the opponent plays Swords to Plowshares, which I force here with Force of Negation because it was in my turn, and the opponent draws a card with Horizon Canopy, and I draw a Force of Negation with enough mana to hardcast it, and the opponent decides that they prioritize me not drawing cards, which I think is correct in this spot, because a card I also think is worth more than to damage in this situation, and the opponent plays Thespian Stage. So I get through one more attack, and then the opponent can copy the maze of it, and I hope that I find a wasteland. But fortunately I draw threats all the time. Problem is, again, the sphere is quite annoying still, that I cannot Dragon Switch Channeler plus Force of Negation, but at least I can do a bit of damage with Lightning Bolt end of turn, or I could also discard it to Frog, but the Frog will get Maze of it anyways. So I attack, so this is quite clear what to do. I always need to attack, and the opponent can choose which creature to let through. Unfortunately, I don't have Delirium, and I play an additional Frog. And again, I don't have Force of Negation up, but I need to finish this game. I cast the Lightning Bolt, and I think this is an error here, in that I think this is an error. I have the Dragon Switch Channeler, end of turn Lightning Bolt, and I keep the Dragon Switch Channeler on top. And putting it in the graveyard would have made it more probable to get Delirium, and also I think it's not that good, because right now it's just a 1/1 creature, so that 1 extra damage I think doesn't matter that much. And also if I play it, again I cannot keep up the Force of Negation. So I still play it out because I have to, but the opponent fortunately scoops, and the king of this game really was the Pithing Needle. And after this game, I think I feel quite comfortable playing Delver at the next tournament, because I played 20 matches with it now and won 11. So I think this is okay on Magic Online. I also tried 25 matches of Nadu Breakfast, and I think I lost 14 and only won 11 for like 45% win rate, and here I have 55. So I think especially because I also won against Red Stompy and Lance, which are normally very hard matchups, but I think that the Psychic Frog is much better than Orcish Bowmaster. Doesn't kill anything from the Lance player anyways, the Bowmaster, and if the opponent doesn't have enough Maze of Its, then you draw so many cards with the Psychic Frog. And yeah, maybe I will just try this exact 75, I don't know. Also the basic island is sometimes bad. It's very often that I want to play Dragon Switch Channeler and also keep up Bolt or Pyroblast, but if I have 3 lands and they are basic island, underground sea, volcanic island, then this is not possible, so maybe I need a band lands or something, yeah. Thanks for watching. Feel free to leave me comments on how you would change the list, or what you would sideboard or play differently. So see you later.